Previously on Absolute Regression, our hero shattered the corrupted core, survived the impossible trials, the system crumbled, the enemy unleashed a quantum apocalypse, and the world teetered on annihilation. And now the story continues. Reopening the case threatens to shatter the investigator's authority, leaving the pavilion in ruins. Gak Myung stands at the head of the room, his jaw clenched, eyes scanning the crowd for any sign of dissent. He wants the old report to stay buried, fearing that exposure will undo every hard one when his team has earned. The murmurs of the junior staff press against his resolve, their curiosity a silent wall. He tightens his grip on the dossier, forces the room to listen, and declares that any move to revisit the past will only feed chaos. The tension spikes as everyone senses a line has been crossed. And that's not even the worst part. Junho barrels through the neon-lit back alley, his pulse syncing with the distant thrum of Kwan's drones. He snatches a half-burned data chip from Myra's wreckage, sparks flaring as the stolen regression code flickers to life. Across the street, Han Tae-ryu materializes, a blade of fractured light slicing the night. Junho grins, slams his fist into the ground, and rewinds the world just enough to shatter the assassin's advance. The debate erupts into chaos as a frantic voice demands a final answer. He wants the truth, willing to risk everything for proof. The senior's desperation blocks him. He swears innocence, fearing a false confession will seal his fate.
Gak Myung now wears the mantle of Pavilion Master, and his goal sharpens. Protect every family that walks his halls. The lingering distrust among his officers blocks his resolve, each whisper of betrayal echoing louder than before. He slams his fist on the table, proclaiming that anyone who harms his people will feel his full wrath. The officers straighten, their fear turning into a cold, shared purpose. The cost. The pavilion closes its doors to any outside influence, sealing itself in a fortress of paranoia that may soon turn inward.
Gak Myung declares himself Pavilion Master, forces the junior to reveal his sister's location, while Junho injects the regression chip into a rusted delivery drone, triggering a pulse that tears reality. Junior feels betrayal crushing his chest as his sister's safety hangs on Gak Myung's promise, while Gak Myung risks his newfound authority to break the cycle of vengeance. Unseen enemies watch the drone's flare, whispering that the regression code could unravel the pavilion's foundations, leaving Gak Myung's demand for absolute loyalty hanging over a looming, unknown threat. The shadows are moving. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari and stay safe. The cult leader unleashes the 8 demons, leaving the Nirvana Pavilion dead. A stern commander of the Heavenly Demon Pavilion steps forward, eyes blazing. He vows no crime will be ignored, even if it stains his own halls. Behind him, the whisper of a hidden council fuels his fear that the cult's power will erase the pavilion's purpose forever. He clenches his fists, ready to strike down any betrayal, but the weight of his oath drags his every move. The air crackles with the promise of a brutal showdown.
Even if a crime occurs in the Heavenly Demon Pavilion, I won't let it slide. I fear the cult leader will render the Nirvana Pavilion useless. I never made such a threat.
The Nirvana Pavilion's investigators press a weighty clause onto the accused, demanding obedience above all else. The master offers a bargain. Confess now, shave 10 years. Stay silent, add 20. The accused snarls, calling the master insane, then embraces the madness, claiming only a broken mind can survive this cruelty. The master's smile widens, knowing the trap tightens with every word. The condemned's fate seals, and the pavilion's grip tightens around the whole district.
Confess now, or waste another 10 years.
And the bargain becomes a blade that cuts deeper than any sentence. Junho slams the regression engine into the cracked lab floor, igniting a vortex of energy that awakens the Demon Supreme and forces the Nirvana Pavilion Master to brandish a threat against the demon's own family. A father feels the crushing sting of his son's murderous bullying while he threatens an investigator's family, risking his own soul and losing any chance at redemption. The newly appointed second master eyes the vaulted throne, The demon supreme looms with unseen retribution, and the regression engine hums ominously, leaving the fate of the pavilion and the world hanging in peril. This channel exists because of fans like you. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari and keep it going.
Hyunwoo slams the regression app, rewinding the hallway just as Director Kwon detonates a temporal charge. Jiyeon hacks the pulse, rerouting the blast into a harmless flash. Min-suk grabs the shattered prototype, hurling it into the collapsing vortex while the school's lights flicker out. The timeline splinters, but their pulse-quickened hearts race toward the final, irreversible reset. Hyunwoo slams his palm on the phone, the regression app flickering as the world snaps 12 seconds back. Jiyeon's eyes blaze, fingers already hacking the new timeline's code while Min-suk lunges. Gun drawn on Director Kwon's trembling lieutenant. "I warned you." Kwon snarls, yet the seconds dissolve. Hyunwoo's memory burns, ready to sacrifice everything to seal the loop.
A silent pause hangs in the air as the lingering energy settles. Someone, perhaps the same enigmatic voice, adds a cryptic remark. "You're right. It's rare for someone to speak so straightforwardly to me." The words sting, reminding Hyunwoo that honesty is a double-edged sword. Another warning follows. No one better be on guard, as stagnant water is bound to rot. The metaphor hits hard. He sees his own complacency reflected in the stillness. He tightens his grip on the regression app, realizing he must keep moving or decay will claim him. The price of his new vigilance is sleepless nights, haunted by the threat of corrosion. He has no idea what's waiting.
Jiyeon watches the young man who once trusted the blood heaven's sword, now trembling on the edge of a demonic pact. She wants to pull him back, but his pride shields him like armor. He repeats the leader's promise, trying to convince himself that power will erase his doubts. Jiyeon steps into the circle, her fingers brushing the cold stone, and silently hacks the hidden signal that could expose the cult's ritual. The leader's smile cracks, sensing the breach, and a surge of darkness ripples through the room. The cult leader leans in, asking the would-be pavilion master what he envisions if he excels. The master craves recognition, yet fears eternal decay inside the shrine.
Hyunwoo drinks the dark brew, sealing a pact that grants him the hidden army but binds his soul to the cult leader's will. Jiyeon watches helplessly as Hyunwoo's pride shatters, feeling the crushing loss of freedom and the looming doom of becoming a puppet while fearing she cannot pull him back. The cursed timer flashes, announcing only 3 days remain before the regression trigger erupts, leaving Hyunwoo and Jiyeon racing against an unseen deadline that could erase them forever. Unlocking the ultimate tier is just the beginning. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. Minho slams his thumb on the app's icon, yanking the school hallway back to the day he first met Soo-yeon. The air ripples as the altered memory splinters, spawning a jagged anomaly that claws at the ceiling. Dr. Lee's cold grin fades. Astra's digital eyes flare, warning that every rewrite inches the world toward total collapse. Minho slams the regression app, rewinding the hallway clash to the moment he first spared Jintae's brother. The altered timeline erupts, bullying drones sputter, the Null Council's surveillance drones flash red, and Astra's cold voice crackles. You cannot unmake the void. Above the chaos, Soo-yeon charges, brandishing a hacked EMP, ready to shatter the demonic army's code. Minho slams the app onto his palm, the screen flickering like a dying star. He rewinds the day he let Jintae bully him, snatches the stolen notebook, and watches the bully's tears turn to gratitude. The ripple shatters the classroom's glass, and a cold voice crackles from the hidden Null Council. You've just opened a door we'll never close.
Everyone's life is worth the same.
Minho grips the glowing app, sweat slick on his palms. He needs the device to fire a temporal pulse that will lock the Null Council's surveillance loop. The hallway lights flicker, a reminder that the Council's drones patrol every corridor. He forces the app's interface open, eyes scanning for the confirmation prompt.
Han Soo-yeon storms into Dr. Lee's lab, pulls the main power conduit, and watches the holographic schematics flicker out. She slams the emergency shutdown, forcing the containment field to collapse as alarms blare. Sparks shower the polished floor while she yanks the regression core from its cradle, clutching it like a lifeline. Outside, the building trembles, hinting that altering the app's core may shatter every timeline.
The scar pulses, and something far deeper than a glitch watches his every move.
Manhwa forces the glowing app to unleash a temporal pulse, shattering the Null Council's surveillance loop and seizing the hidden console amid crashing moonlit shards. He feels his mind fray, blood pounding, as the nanoserum fuels his resolve, yet the demonic horde gnaws at his dwindling humanity, forcing him to sacrifice his last bite of hope. A scar on his wrist pulses ominously, and an unseen intelligence watches, promising a deeper nightmare as the Enforcer's gaunt silhouette vanishes behind the flickering barrier. End of the chapter. Time to subscribe to Manwa with Hari. The demonic commander is chosen, and the world's fate rests on his child's loss. The cult leader leans close, pressing a question that slices through the stale air. The disciple answers, blaming no one but himself, then flips the blame onto the leader, claiming the youngster's talent only just emerged. He mutters that the child is still raw, unshaped. The leader's eyes narrow, sensing a hidden agenda. He tightens his grip on the ancient sigil, ready to test the boy's limits. The tension spikes as the next move could seal a nation's doom.
What are you really doing? All thanks to you, cult leader. He just showed promise. He's still immature.
The disciple clings to the leader's past advice, believing it was the only reason he stayed obedient. He wants certainty that the leader's words still hold weight. The leader's vague recollection blocks that certainty, turning loyalty into doubt. He repeats the leader's former claim about the cult's view, confessing he trusted it and stayed in line. Then he asks if this mirrors the relationship the leader has with his own father, hinting deeper betrayal. The leader shrugs, saying his father probably has nothing more to say, leaving the disciple with a hollow echo of authority. He has no idea what's waiting.
You said this before about what the cult thinks of you.
The rival demon steps forward, his aura humming with power, and whispers the name Yui as the ultimate commander. The cult leader's lips curl into a thin smile, confirming the unexpected endorsement. Both men understand that naming Yui binds the entire army to a fate they cannot reverse. The disciple feels the ground shift beneath him. His chance at power slips away, replaced by a looming threat he cannot yet see. The cost is clear. A single misstep now could ignite a war that consumes every soul in the cult. What comes next changes everything.
The cult leader thrusts the sealed elixir into the disciple's grasp, demanding he swallow it alongside the demonic essence pill, while the rival demon whispers Yui as the new commander, sealing a volatile pact. The disciple feels betrayal crack his resolve, fearing the combined pills could grant unbeatable power, yet risking the annihilation of his demonic allies if the pact shatters, while the leader clings to a fragile alliance. The altar glows ominously as the disciple hesitates, the elixir's surface rippling, leaving the fate of the demonic ranks and the true identity of Yui hanging on a trembling breath. You're procrastinating, I'm narrating. It's a perfect match. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari.
Jan-ho teeters on the edge of power, the cult leader's twisted prophecy whispering that Jan-ho could ascend as the demonic army commander. The cult leader clutches the ancient sigil, desperate for proof that the impossible can happen, because only then will he justify his next move. Jan-ho's own fear fuels the ritual, but the sigil's dormant energy resists, cracking the stone floor beneath them. He forces the glyph to pulse, sending a shockwave that rattles the chamber and awakens a dormant hunger. The cult leader's eyes flare with triumph, yet the ground beneath them begins to crumble. The crowd erupts into chaotic shouts, fists pounding the stone, eyes flashing with fear and fury. Jan-ho watches the chaos swirl, feeling his heart hammer against his ribs. He spots a hidden dagger glinting in the cult leader's hand, the silent promise of death. Every breath he takes feels like a countdown, each second pulling him closer to a decision that could either save or doom everyone around him. The tension spikes, and the answer is already too late. Jan-ho wants the woman to live free of worry, but the cult leader's cold smile blocks any hope, whispering that memory will never fade.
Jan-ho lunges toward the altar, snatching the glowing chi crystal and slamming it into the hidden explosives, triggering a blinding surge that tears the cult's sanctum as Bei Jongtak rushes forward. He feels the girl's trembling hand slip from his sleeve, the weight of her father's death crushing his hope, while the council watches, ready to condemn him for abandoning their fragile peace. The cult leader stands amid the collapsing ruins, his scarred grin promising a hidden backup, and the detonated crystal flickers ominously, leaving the fate of the remaining disciples hanging in a storm of ash. The action is only getting faster. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari and try to keep up. The senior's verdict seals a servant's death, and the Sword Clan falls silent. The young Supreme stands in his 20s, yet his eyes betray a century of battles. He watches the Elder, feeling the weight of a tradition that refuses to age. The Elder mutters that the world may change, but the Swordmaster does not, his voice dripping with defiance. The senior nods, his grin thin, as he greets the newcomer with a cold, "It's been a while, senior." The air tightens. Everyone knows the next word will decide a life.
It's been a while, senior.
The silence cracks, and the next accusation will echo louder than any blade. The Elder Blood Heaven Blade Demon leans in, his pressure palpable, demanding the Sword Clan bow. The master of the Sword Clan pushes back, declaring his difference, his resolve hardening like steel. The Elder nods, acknowledging the defiance, but his eyes flicker with a hidden agenda. The tension spikes, each side aware that a single misstep could ignite a war that swallows both. The cost: a fragile peace teeters on the edge of a blade. He has no idea what's waiting.
I am distinctly different from the Blade Demon.
A whisper reaches the room. Jan Go, the Blade Demon's recommended Demon Supreme for Namdo, is both capable and loyal, yet labeled a lineman. Hyunwoo bursts into the dim hallway, lungs burning, while Sayare follows, her cyber gloves sparking against the failing lights. The corridor twists into a dead end lined with ancient seals, each humming with a dormant regression field. The seals flare, creating a temporal vortex that threatens to pull them into a looping nightmare. Hyunwoo slams his palm into the nearest seal, shattering it with a burst of chronal shockwave, buying them a narrow corridor of normal time. Sayare darts forward, dragging the data core as the vortex collapses behind them.
Move fast, no time left.
The vortexes echo hints at a hidden watcher still counting the second. The master shatters the council's complacency, demanding the Sword Elder's intervention and exposing his secret plot to cripple the Blade Demon's power, while the young master's trembling confession ignites a violent power shift. Hyunwoo's desperate grip on the data core costs him his breathing room, forcing him to sacrifice his chance at escape as the alarms roar, while the council watches his loyalty crumble under looming betrayal. The Blade Demon's narrowed eyes lock onto the trembling youth, drones swarm the hallway, and the sealed ancient seals pulse ominously, leaving the council's next move and Hyunwoo's fate hanging on a razor edge. That betrayal stung. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari for the payback. Hyunwoo slams his fist against the shattered guild altar, the echo rippling through the chronal rift. Sayare darts forward, her blade humming as she slices the glowing sigil binding Victor's syndicate. The temporal vortex erupts, flinging fragments of medieval battlefields and neon megacities into a chaotic vortex. With echoes hack flashing red warnings, Hyunwoo lunges, shattering the absolute regression core and rewriting destiny in a single, thunderous strike. Hyunwoo slams his fist into the chrono core, the humming vault exploding in a cascade of fractured seconds. Sayare darts forward, her blade slicing the syndicate's sigil as Victor's grin shatters across the collapsing timeline. Myra's algorithm flickers, the demonic army materializing only to dissolve under Echo's hack. Hyunwoo slams his fist on the hollow table, the Chrono Syndicate schematics flickering under his grip. "You think you can rewrite history while I still have a single shot left?" he snarls, eyes blazing as Sayare hacks the temporal firewall. The room erupts in electric arcs. Victor Kwan lunges, but Echo's code detonates, shattering the algorithm before it can erase their world. Hyunwoo holds the elixir, the taste of centuries burning his throat, a reminder of the price he's already paid. He wants to keep the power sealed, yet the urge to consume it gnaws at his resolve. The lingering memory of his sister's scream blocks his will, making the decision feel like betrayal. Hyunwoo and Seare stare at the strange symbols etched on the floor, two circles with a line through them, then a lone O and a flickering 11L. They need the pattern to unlock the hidden conduit and stop the Chrono Syndicate's pulse. The symbols shift, warping the air and creating a humming distortion that threatens to tear them apart. Seare aligns her chrono blade with the central O, while Hyunwoo channels the pill's residual energy into the surrounding glyphs. The floor erupts in a blinding flash, sealing the conduit but ripping a jagged scar across the chamber. The scar pulses, stealing a fraction of Hyunwoo's life force. What comes next changes everything. Hyunwoo slams his fist onto the shattered altar, igniting ancient glyphs as the Blood Heaven's sword tears a rift, spilling crimson shards that threaten to rewrite reality itself. He feels vengeance crushing his chest, willing to betray his own promise and swallow the divine pill, hoping its antidote erases Victor's poison and saves Seare. A blackened chronoshift vortex expands, dragging them toward the Syndicate's core. Hyunwoo clutches Seare's wrist, but the conduit's hidden pattern remains unsolved, leaving reality's collapse imminent. Turn on notifications and make Manhwa with Hari your go-to spot for the latest updates.
He devours the divine honey pill, the taste exploding like fireworks in his mouth, and power surges through his veins. The overflow of inner energy makes him feel untouchable, as if no opponent could ever breach his shield. Ink, the shadow that has haunted his thoughts, steps from the darkness, eyes fixed on his chest. Ink's presence forces him to confront a new danger that no regression can erase. He clenches his fists, ready to protect the fragile heart beating beneath the storm of power. The air crackles, and the battle for his soul begins. The taste of victory is just the beginning.
Junhyuk slams the regression chip into his wrist, the neon pulse syncing with his heartbeat. In a flash, the alley rewinds, bullets snapping back into the barrel of Agent Ryu's gun. Myra's grin sharpens as she hacks the K-Force node, exposing the data siphon. The city's VR veil flickers, and the rebels surge forward, ready to shatter the corporation's hold once and for all. Time collapses around you as the regression spikes. The city's neon blur warps, and you land back at the moment before the scandal broke. Your heart pounds, adrenaline flooding every vein, while Ink watches from the shadows, her smile razor thin. He clutches the heavenly divine pill, a relic whispered about in the darkest back alley markets. The Blood Heaven Sword Demon handed it to him, promising untold resilience. He tells his unseen handler that the pill is already in his grasp, daring the agent to reveal any hidden agenda. The agent's surprise flickers, but the pill's glow steadies his hand, masking the dread that another betrayal may await. He swallows the bitter tablet, feeling a cold fire ignite his veins, sharpening his focus for the next confrontation. You sense the weight of a promise made long ago. Ink, the shadowy informant, smirks and admits he once gave the pill to the demon himself, a debt buried in blood and silence. Junhyuk seizes the celestial divine pill, igniting his inner tide and shattering the Demon Supreme's barrier as neon glass splinters around the central server. He feels the bitter surge of power outweighing every forced smile, realizing his happiness contracts into a virus that threatens to consume the city he once protected. Ink's cold revelation that he once bargained his own future with the demon leaves Junhyuk staring at a collapsing pact, unsure whether the demon will crush him or unleash a darker gamble. Lock in your weekly entertainment. Hit subscribe on Manwa with Hari and let the stories come to you. Junwoo slams the shattered chrono core onto the rusted altar, sparks erupting as the dormant glyphs flare to life. The guild's hidden enclave trembles. Kwon Hyun-soo's eyes widen, realizing his reality-bending empire is about to collapse. Beside him, Se Ryung readies twin blades, while Myri Zero summons a paradox vortex that threatens to swallow them all. The countdown to absolute regression begins. Junwoo lunges through the shattered courtyard, searing shards of chronal ice scattering as he slashes Kwon's guard. Han Ryong flicks a blade, her eyes flashing flowers grow prettier with age. A taunt that cuts deeper than any paradox. Zero materializes, looping the sky into a vortex, but Junwoo snaps his wrist, rewinding the loop and shattering the guild's cruel design.
Junwoo stares at the jagged sigil pulsing on the altar, the blood heaven sword demon's aura still humming in his veins. He slams his fist into the stone, shattering the cursed glyph, and forces Se Ryong to abandon the demon's pact. With the heavenly pill spilling onto the floor, the two sprint toward the hidden tunnel, ready to betray the cult before it rewrites their fate. If you want more daily recaps, hit that subscribe button now and brace for the storm that follows. Junwoo admits he will meet countless strangers and doubts his choices. He begs for a tool that can make decisions easy, pleading for any aid.
Junwoo confronts the assassin who swore to destroy him. Hearing her claim she'll do anything to see him fall. He ponders the impossibility of her surrender, yet his mind races for a counterplay. A brief pause hangs between them, and the assassin's silence answers his unasked question. She already knows his next move. Accepting that knowledge, Junwoo tightens his grip on his weapon, preparing to strike before she can act. The cost: a fragile truce that could crumble with a single misstep.
Well,
The blade inches forward, and the silence threatens to explode. You feel the weight of betrayal as Junwoo learns why the agent despises his rival. Junwoo shatters his pact, brandishing the sword supreme and demanding the non-drinker betray the guild, while he storms the demonic village's heart, eyes blazing with defiant fury. He feels his freedom teeter on a razor's edge, his pride swallowing the bitter sting of betrayal and the crushing weight of a love he must abandon to protect his own resolve. The assassin's grin widens as she reveals a hidden blade poised for his throat, and the village's shadows pulse, promising a lethal showdown that could crumble his shattered alliances.
They stabbed him in the back, and now they'll pay. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari.
He despises women, yet he's about to save the one he hates most. The narrator slides into a dim pleasure bar, eyes scanning the low-lit crowd. Junho's hand hovers over his glass, his mind replaying the night his sister died. He wants a quiet drink, a moment to plan his next regression. The bar's chatter and the clink of bottles block his focus, reminding him how fragile peace feels. He forces himself to sit, orders the house special, and lets the bitter taste fuel his resolve. He mutters, "I hate places where women are at," then forces a smile for the bartender. Junho seeks to dismiss the demon's meddling, but the demon's indifference fuels a silent standoff. "Who cares what my disciples do?" the demon asks, eyes cold. Junho's mouth tightens, his plan to ignore the threat falters when the demon bluntly answers, "No." The simple denial forces Junho to accept that the demon will not step aside, and any attempt to silence him will spark a direct clash. The price is a growing realization that the demon's presence is an unyielding obstacle on his path to vengeance.
who cares what my disciples do? Isn't that so? No.
The demon's curt refusal leaves Junho staring at an unmovable wall.
Junho needs the assassin to reveal his true motive, but pride keeps the man silent. The assassin scoffs, calling Junho arrogant, and drops the pretense that his heart already decided the outcome. Junho's eyes flash, his jaw tightens, and he vows to remember the insult as a warning. He steps back, letting the tension simmer, aware that careless words behind backs can ignite a war. The assassin watches, calculating his next play, while Junho steadies his breathing for the inevitable clash.
There's nothing cruder than speaking carelessly behind one's back.
Junho's memory of that warning fuels his next decision.
Junho jams the regression engine into the abandoned subway tunnel, slams the activation switch, and a vortex of shattered chronal fragments erupts, reshaping reality around the stunned patrons. He feels the weight of every promise to his sister, offers a rare elixir to bargain for an ally, and watches the smug assassin scoff, threatening to shatter his fragile hope. The vortex tears open a rift, a shadowy figure steps through, and the assassin's grin widens, leaving Junho's survival and the timeline's future dangling on a razor edge.
Don't make me ask twice. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari.
He steps onto his father's frozen training ground, the wind god's 4 lethal strikes waiting. He wants his father's respect, to prove he belongs among the masters. The icy floor slicks his boots, the silence heavy with old expectations. He forces his body forward, muscles tensing as he mimics the first strike he's heard about in whispers. The cold bites his skin, but his breath steadies, and his fist lands where his father once taught. The ground cracks faintly, a silent acknowledgement echoing back. And that's not even the worst part.
Never been here before.
He watches the iron bars lining the courtyard, a maze of cold steel that seems to mock his nervousness. You stare at the empty bowl, the silence louder than the clatter of chopsticks. Your thoughts spiral. Your father must think you're strange, silent where you once filled rooms with chatter. You realize you've never truly spoken to him outside of training, never shared a simple meal, never let a casual joke slip past your lips. The regret settles, a cold weight on your chest, because you've hidden behind discipline. You bite your lip, feeling the sting of missed moments, and wonder if the silence was your armor or your cage.
Never.
You stare at the man who just appeared, expecting a simple request. He smirks, then asks if you came looking for him today.
Determination flares as you stare at the empty training floor, the echo of the master's promise still ringing. You clench your fists, refusing to accept half measures. The only path forward is to ask outright for the whole art. The master watches, his eyes narrowing, waiting for your resolve. You speak, voice steady, demanding the method to master his style. He nods, the first true step toward unlocking the form.
How can I learn your martial art?
The question opens a door that may never close again. Doubt gnaws at you as you stare at the master's calm silhouette, the weight of his legacy pressing down.
The elder thrusts forward, demanding Li On inherit the soaring sword art, declaring only a heavenly demon's blood relative may learn it. Li On swallows iron-tasting doubt, feeling his father's approval sharpen into a blade that could either seal his destiny as Phantom Shadow leader or shatter his resolve. He clenches fists on the empty floor, demanding the master's full lesson, while the elder's cold stare holds back the final secret that could ignite or destroy his future. High-quality editing, perfect pacing, zero filler. If I delivered, hit subscribe on Manwa with Hari. Jae-ho watches Luna's blade glide, the soaring sword art flooding into her like cotton-soaking rain. Her strikes sharpen faster than his worst opponent, each flawless arc proving she outpaces even his legendary reflexes. He feels a pulse of déjà vu. Teaching once ignited his own mastery in a past life, and now, every lesson he gives her spikes his own power, turning the battlefield into a shared crucible. Zero storms the arena, blade humming as Astra's code flickers across the sky. He slams Kira the Null into the obsidian floor, shattering her shield with a single, decisive strike.
Zero storms the neon citadel, blades humming as Kira, the Null materializes, eyes flickering with Astra's cold logic. You think this ends today? Kira snarls, but Zero cracks the vault's code, unleashing a cascade of corrupted data that shreds the AI's hold. The citadel trembles, memory streams glitch, and the world's truth erupts. Jae-ho's buried past ignites the fight for humanity's mind. Zero enters a dimly lit market, clutching a sealed box marked with strange symbols. He whispers that he's here to deliver Silno, a cryptic item that could shift power balances. A vendor scoffs, asking where one could even buy such boxes, then mutters about wanting a few himself.
Zero forces the Pavilion Master to accept a cursed pearl as a birthday tribute, igniting a hidden data pulse that tears open the ancient system and threatens to rewrite every alliance. The Master's fragile trust shatters, leaving Zero exposed to relentless suspicion, while the pearl's dark whisper promises untold power that could either redeem or annihilate his fragile coalition. A sudden, resonant chant reverberates through the walls, and the concealed network awakens, leaving Zero staring at a blinking void where the Master's fate and the world's balance hang in uncertain, lethal suspension. You're not just watching a recap, you're joining a movement. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. He lifts the glass, eyes flicking to the demon's blade glinting beside him. The demon whispers, "This liquor's for me, it's for you." He swallows, trusting the blade's promise over his own instincts. The liquid burns, a bitter sting spreading down his throat. The demon's grin widens, knowing the poison will seal his loyalty.
This flicker's for me. It's for you.
The taste of betrayal lingers, and the night has only just begun. He reels from the heat, mind racing. Did you consider the liquor could be poisoned? How could you drink without checking? Accusations slam against his nerves. He retorts, I did check, but I have countermeasures in place.
I have many things I still want to try. Not at all. He said nothing, but meant too many things.
He leans close, eyes flickering between mistrust and curiosity. He wants to know if the stranger truly plans to join forces against the ML-RIM Alliance. The stranger blocks him with a vague invitation to explore the world together, hoping to deflect the accusation. He bites his lip, then repeats the question, demanding a straight answer. The stranger smiles, offering a partnership that could shift the balance of power. The tension spikes as both realize a single misstep could spark a war. Brian shatters the fragile truce by forcing the demon cultist to confess his betrayal, his words slicing through the Nirvana Pavilion's calm as the alley erupts in tense silence. The revelation drains Brian's lingering hope, leaving him teetering between vindication and the crushing weight of a broken alliance that could cost his allies their lives. A shadowy figure watches from the doorway, eyes glinting with concealed purpose, promising that the fragile peace will crumble before the night ends. The editing, the voice, the pacing. You know it's good. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. Jinwoo slams his palm on the glowing icon, the app's electric pulse rippling through the hallway. Time snaps backward, rewinding the shattered glass and the cursed sigil that erupted moments earlier. Yuna's eyes flare as she hacks the regression code, stitching the timeline together while Suk-Jin Lee's shadow looms, teeth bared. Mira Huang's memory wraith lunges, only to dissolve as Jinwoo's rewound strike shatters her illusion, buying Dahi a breath of safety.
The cafeteria lights flicker as Yuna hacks the school's security grid, her fingers dancing across the tablet. She discovers a hidden protocol that streams the Chrono Syndicate's signal directly to Jinwoo's phone. They're feeding us live data, she whispers, eyes wide.
The master watches the chaos, his mind already on the next move. He points out the rookie's habit of destroying everything, urging him to learn a trade carpentry, a skill that pays well and keeps his hands busy. The rookie scoffs, but the master's stare forces a flicker of doubt. Meanwhile, the master's inner monologue predicts the inevitable clash when the two rivals finally meet, a storm he intends to ride. He tightens his grip on the strings of their buried emotions, ready to pull them apart again. The tension builds, each word a knot tightening around their fate.
Their quarrel fuels my plan.
Jinwoo forces the app into its highest tier form, unleashing the celestial equilibrium pattern to counter the Chrono Syndicate's chaotic surge, while Asuna's code flickers ominously in the background. The challenger's taunts ignite Jinwoo's fury, but the bargain strips him of the wind god's four strides, forcing him to fight with limited technique and risking his sister's safety for a win. A blinding glitch erupts as the celestial equilibrium activates, leaving the battlefield unstable and the Syndicate's true leader shrouded in darkness, promising a lethal showdown that could shatter reality itself. You made it to the end, that means everything. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari and I'll see you next chapter. Junho's eyes flicker across the empty arena, his HUD pinging every stray signal. He forces a quick scan, hoping the glitch-filled data will reveal a hidden exit. The system flashes no target, and a cold voice mutters, Suda, somewhere in the static. Frustration spikes. His pulse thunders as the walls close in. He slams his fist into the console, forcing a forced read that overloads the nearest sensor. The overload sparks, briefly lighting the dark corridor and exposing a faint doorway he hadn't seen before. He darts toward it, heart pounding, because any chance to move forward feels like a lifeline, and that doorway might lead straight into the Overseer's core. He leans forward, voice low, demanding she finally name what she truly seeks. She hesitates, then offers a trembling apology, hoping it will buy her a sliver of mercy. He watches her, the flicker of doubt in his eyes, knowing that any concession could shift the power balance. She whispers, please accept my apologies, trying to soften the blow of her earlier betrayal. He feels the weight of the moment, Accepting could mean letting her live, refusing could seal his own fate. The cost: a fragile truce that might crumble under the overseer's watchful gaze.
Please accept my apologies.
Yet forgiveness may be the deadliest weapon. He forces his opponent to reveal her true demand, turning her promised 3 strikes into a brutal counterattack that shatters his confidence. Brian risks losing his honor and the chance to keep his word, while his pride burns as the woman's trembling apology threatens to erase his redemption. The simulation's barren code flashes warning signs as the wounded wasteland flickers, leaving Brian teetering between rewriting destiny and being consumed by the looming bloodbath. A true mastermind doesn't need to lift a finger. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. Hyunwoo slams his fist into the cracked console, the screen flickering with his sister's dying pulse. Sare's eyes blaze as she shoves a shattered Chrono core into his hand, whispering, "We fight again, even if the world rewinds." He forces a ragged breath, rewinds the moment, and watches the Council's elite crumble beneath his resurrected power. Hyunwoo slams his palm into the trembling ground, the shattered Chrono core sparking as the timeline snaps back. The Council's elite forces freeze mid-strike, their weapons humming uselessly. Sare darts forward, slicing through the temporal distortion, while Jean shouts a warning that only the dying can hear. In that heartbeat, Hyunwoo sees his sister's silhouette flicker, proof that the past still remembers him. Hyunwoo staggers, his vision reduced to shards of light, yet his resolve sharpens like a blade. He wants to keep moving, to lead the final assault on the Council's tower. The deafening roar of collapsing structures drowns out every command, and his wounded leg threatens to give way. He forces his crippled body to crawl, dragging the lens like a lifeline, while Sare shouts orders from the front line. Each step drains his remaining strength, but the sight of the tower's looming silhouette fuels his desperation. The cost is his dwindling stamina, each breath a ragged gasp.
Keep moving, you're almost there.
As the tower's doors begin to open, a hidden enemy watches from the shadows. You feel the weight of sleepless nights finally lift as you crawl into bed after yesterday's draw, the calm finally settling like a thin blanket over your thoughts. You realize that the first loss left you restless, but today's stalemate grants you the peace of a full night's sleep. You wonder if that peace comes from fighting daily, as the Swordmaster whispers that constant duels might be the key to true rest. You stare at the ceiling, the idea of endless combat both terrifying and oddly comforting. Hyunwoo hears the old saying echo in his mind. Everything should be redone 3 times. Hyunwoo slams his palm into the obsidian console, rewinding the temporal core's blast by 3 seconds, while Sare hacks the Council's mainframe, shattering firewalls and extracting a pulsing chrono data shard. Hyunwoo feels the weight of countless sleepless nights lift as his regression power surges. Yet the memory of the opponent's blade slipping past his guard gnaws, threatening his resolve and his chance at redemption. The challenger lifts his sword, eyes locked on Hyunwoo, and an ancient energy seeps from the tower's foundations, hinting at a dormant force that could rewrite the battle before the next strike lands. The choice is yours, but the right answer is subscribing to Manwa with Hari. He forces the Sword Supreme to step left, cutting off every escape route. He knows a rightward dodge would give her 3 options, but his own weight drags her down, sealing the path. The blade hums, tension mounting, as she watches his balance shift. She feels the pressure tightening around her spine, realizing each move now costs a life. He watches her eyes flicker, the moment of decision frozen. She bites her lip, the silent scream of a trapped warrior echoing in the empty hall.
Left limits your choices, right would give 3.
The next move could shatter everything. He sits across from the Sword Supreme, trading questions like a duel. You feel the weight of every secret you've buried. Junwoo confronts the Syndicate's enforcer, a figure known only as Sword Supreme, whose reputation chills even the bravest. He wants the enforcer to acknowledge his growing power, hoping the acknowledgement will force the Syndicate to reveal their true plan. The enforcer's eyes narrow, his voice low and terrifying, but he grants a grudging respect, calling Junwoo truly terrifying. The acknowledgement fuels Junwoo's resolve, yet it also paints a target on his back, marking him as the biggest threat yet.
You are a truly terrifying person.
That respect becomes a double-edged sword, and the next move could shatter everything. You feel the sting of betrayal as the Sword Supreme's confession hangs in the air. He craves a clean slate, a single night of pleasure to drown his doubt, but his past sins gnaw at his conscience. The memory of Sa Wuzhong's invitation forces him to confront a forgotten desire, and the weight of that fleeting desire threatens to undo his resolve. He declares the night was just once, a reckless escape, then slams his hand on the table, vowing to end the cycle. The room holds its breath as his resolve hardens, but the echo of his confession rattles the ancient order.
Just once for pleasure, then it ends.
He shatters the ancient barrier with a single, thunderous strike, the blade humming as the sigil fractures and releases a torrent of raw, blinding energy across the arena. He feels his soul teeter on the edge, the coveted 12-star title within reach, yet his mentor's betrayal and the council's scorn gnaw at his resolve, threatening to erase his hard-won honor. The unleashed vortex spirals toward the looming silhouette of Geometry Muguk, whose eyes flare with murderous intent, leaving the fate of the Sword Supreme and the entire realm hanging in a volatile, unseen void. I promise I'll make the next recap as insane as this one. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari. Junho slams his palm on the cracked floor, the shattered glass spiraling backward as the city rewinds in a heartbeat. He catches Myra's terrified gaze, then snaps his fingers. Time snaps forward, the rogue's chronal loop shatters, and the council's emblem flares red. With the world teetering on a reset, he clenches his fists, ready to rewrite fate or become its last guardian. Junho slams his gauntlet into the cracked stone floor, the air snapping as the chronal pulse erupts. Quan Seirayang's looping vortex shatters, civilians freed from endless replay. Mira darts forward, her blade humming with stolen council code, while Daesun's device glows, amplifying Junho's rewind. Junho pieces together that the Supreme Demon meticulously hides any trace of its soul art, yet the herb gatherers find and a discarded fan hint at a planted clue. He wants to expose who's steering him toward a false enemy. The evidence points to a manipulator feeding him misinformation, and his own recent 3-day duel with the Sword Supreme stirs old grudges. He recalls the duel's final clash, feeling a surge of unresolved tension that could trigger the manipulator's plan. By confronting the truth, he risks a trap that could end his fight against the true foe. The manipulator's smile widens as Junho steps into the snare.
Junho slams his palm into the shattered clock tower, the gears grinding back as the city freezes mid-explosion. Mira darts forward, her blade slicing a looping vortex that Quan Seirayang conjured to trap civilians. With a surge of raw chrono energy, Junho rewinds the blast, shattering the rogue's loop and pulling the dying sister's locket from the rubble. Proof that the council's reset won't go unnoticed.
Mira darts through the ruined market, weaving between shattered stalls as sirens wail overhead. She clamps a humming device to a cracked time conduit, pulsing it until the fractured chronal field steadies. A vortex of amber light erupts, pulling the nearby rogue soldiers into a frozen tableau.
Junho hurls the spectral fan into the vortex, shattering the broken chronometer and sealing the Supreme Demon's fissure as the altar pulses wild with stolen souls. Mira watches Quan Seirayang's eyes flicker, feeling her own resolve crack while the city freezes, knowing the chance to save countless lives slips through her trembling fingers. A cloaked cadre blocks Junho's path to the pulsing altar, and a trembling voice warns the hidden commander watches, leaving the Supreme Demon's true master still hidden in the shadows. We don't skip the details. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari for the full experience.